that's not going to net anything for this year.
Okay. Thank you.
I know. All right. Just for the record, let's go down. If we look at the summary of last week, we reduced special education other services, which I mixed up this morning. Let's see, I don't even know if I'm prepared anymore. 90,000. We reduced, this was out of the superintendent's proposed budget, I'm sorry. We reduced the CNA program. We took the elimination of a bus route. We accepted the alternative fuel use for the buses and the projected savings of $212,000. We eliminated the safety and security line item of $300,000. We reduced the salary line item by $250,000, savings from retirements. We reduced the technology, capital technology line item by $160,000. We reduced the capital maintenance item by $288,000. We decreased supplies and equipment by $43,000. And we decreased the options program teacher from a 0.4 FTE to a 0.2 FTE. We then added one guidance counselor back to Torrington High School. We added 2 teachers back to Torrington High School. We added junior varsity and varsity sports back to the high school at a 0 because the AD said you could fund it from within. We added back Torrington Middle School athletics. And we added back the TAG program. Correct? Okay. Tonight we're in support of a motion or a proposal by Fiona to reduce special ed by $394,525. Energy by $150,000. Tuition to support non-approved mandates of $250,000, which reduces us an additional $794,525, which brings our increase to $3,201,046.50. Now on page 2 we have the areas that we identified for a request from the mayor of overly inflated estimates was the term used. We have stipends at the high school that were increased by $10,000 as a projection, stipends at the middle school by $10,000, clerical by $25,000, custodians by $25,000, district-wide. Social Security and Medicare by $30,000, retirement by $30,000, workers' compensation by $15,000, tuition, out-of-district tuition for regular education of $95,700, which is again in view of opposing mandate. It's a proposed mandate, I'm sorry, it's not an approved mandate yet. And there is a projected savings of $40,000 in communications out of the technology budget. That's $280,700. Would the board at this time like to entertain those cuts one by one as a whole? Where do we stand on those? One by one. Okay. Stipends at Torrington High School. Would you like to explain what these stipends were?
The high school and the middle school, additional monies were put in to help add more staff to cafeteria duty. So that would, right, so that would decrease the number of teachers they could have in each lunch wave.
Okay, but this $10,000, we still have the stipends in the budget for the teachers to cover the cap. This was an increase in those teachers?
Nope. We are seeing that this year was the first year we did it. And we put in about 55 to 60,000. We're coming in about 20,000 to the good. So that tells me that they're using what they need and they're not doing as much as they thought they needed.
Okay. So this 20,000 is a result if you flat funded it
Exactly, for this year.
for this year. That's 10 and 10, 10 in each vote.
It was a new thing we did this year, we didn't know
Right.
100% how much we were gonna need.
Or how many we're gonna need.
If we got along with that figure this year, let's stay with it for next year too. So
Carl?
keep these.
Yep. Chris, Alan?
Since they're here, I would like to know if they could use more. If it's enough, if you have enough coverage in the cafeteria.
We could always use more, but it's more of a scheduling situation. But I mean, like Danielle said, this is the first year we did it, so you budgeted, like Ken also said, you budgeted high. So if we're coming in where Danielle figured it would be, I'd say go for it, personally from TMS.
For THS, as long as we're not reducing what we currently have this year. Because I don't know.
No, the high school is definitely using the majority of the money. Because the middle school has two people that get paid out of the CAF fund. And because that was a trial thing we did last year too, so we can cut it by 20,000 by using the CAF money.
But if you're saying THS is the bulk of it, should this be split 10 and 10, or should this just be a secondary education stipend and lump them together so that we don't short the high school and leave excess at the middle school?
You can lump it together.
Is it a one item in the budget?
Yeah. So I'll put it where, once this year ends up, I'll know exactly the dollar amount, and that's how I'll put it when doing next year's budget.
Proportionally next year?
Exactly.
Is that still all right with you gentlemen on this? Ladies? Paul, how do you feel? Dan?
You said that number is coming in at 30,000, not 20. You're totaling 20 right now, but Danielle, you said that we're gonna have a surplus of 30?
No, 20.
20 is this year's surplus?
Yeah, from the cafeteria.
Okay.
Good. So we'll add that to it, Daniel?
Yep.
Okay, can you explain 5112.30 clerical, $25,000?
I'll do both at the same time to save time.
Okay.
Clerical retirement, custodial retirement, I budget two possible retirements in each bargaining unit each year. We know of one definite in each for next year now. I budget two. If someone else retires, we're either going to have to be in the negative in that account, or we can't replace that employee until they finish out getting paid their vacation and sick time. So a school could be down a secretary for 4 or 5 months.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that.
The retirements that you have, Danielle, do they tend to go with the school calendar? I mean, do you often have an individual retiring in
Actually, it's
February?
honestly not, for non-certified, they don't, because it hits, when they hit retirement age, is their birthday month, and a lot leave on mid-year, whatever their birthday is.
So can we only hire people born on July 1st?
Yeah.
Or June 30th?
I would leave it in.
I would tend to leave it.
Cut.
That's the clerical one? Both? We lump them together again? Okay. Okay. Social Security and Medicare, district-wide, $30,000.
We've just had a surplus of about that each year. It's just an area of the budget that we keep extra money in if something happens.
what would happen?
Yeah, that was my question, yeah.
Not in Social Security or Medicare. For instance, we have a boiler issue right now at Vogel. Happened today. We're probably looking at a price tag of 60 grand. Wasn't budgeted. That's the kind of thing that happens. I haven't told you yet. It just happened. I mean, it's that kind of thing.
But
Well,
that's not a social security.
Wait, I don't know.
No, I know.
Yeah,
If we look back at balance this year, we have an estimated balance of $20,568.
Mhm.
So you're still comfortable at $30,000?
Yeah.
But it- yeah.
Cut.
Cut. Cut. If we need a contingency fund, there should be a contingency fund, call it a contingency
We
fund.
don't. We're not allowed to. That would be perfect, but we're not allowed to.
We're not allowed to, well,
The
don't.
city won't allow it.
Well,
Well, maintenance.
well,
This-
I wouldn't
that-
say that they won't allow, have we asked for one? Have we ever just, in the budget, put a line item that says contingency?
Not since I've been here, no.
So,
Can we please get that done this year? Because basically, this goes to the perception of the Board of Education and the administration putting fat into the thing so they can then move around and nobody knows where the money goes. And partly because of exactly this stuff. It's Social Security, Medicare, and you're talking about boilers. No offense, but this, to a taxpayer, to a city councilman, to a Board of Finance person, is just a bananas way to run a business. So have that, so if they, you know, in the effort of transparency, talk to the city and say, here's what we need, let's cut the BS, and we'll just put a line item in there, and this is what it's for. It's for blown boilers, it's for this, it's for windows that shatter,
I was gonna say, change the name, just put it down as a maintenance contingency.
something.
Yeah, emergency maintenance fund.
all right.
Just fund it for $500,000, which should take care of any emergency on a yearly basis.
So the board is comfortable putting an extra
Well,
$5,000 into
Let's
the
finish,
budget?
No,
let's finish what we're doing.
Correct.
And we'll get onto that. We only have 4 more. Retirement contributions, $30,000, 5231 is the item number, or cost code.
Same scenario. No, retirement contributions are solely based on who retires. So I project, what I do every year is I budget for 11, plus an administrator is how I do it. That is a risky one because of if we put the incentive out. This came out before we started talking about that possible incentive.
Well, I have a concern, you've already reduced,
I know.
if you go back and look, we had a surplus in that on 11/12 of 118,000. We increased the funding to that line item by $10,000. We have a surplus of 73,000. The budget as proposed has a $62,000 reduction in that line item, which theoretically would only leave you with $11,000 in surplus, if the projections are correct. This extra 30,000, what does that do for us? Does that put us potentially in the red? Does it?
Yeah, potentially, yes, it does.
I don't like being in the red.
You don't like that?
No, I don't like red. I like
Darrell? Paul? Okay, retirement stays. Workers' compensation, 5270, you have a $30,000 reduction here.
Our
15,000, sorry. Again, too
We've,
many numbers.
We have,
Sorry.
the past 2, if not 3 years, we've actually gotten refunds from workers' comp for about 15,000 each year because we've been doing really well on our workers' comp claims.
We have a $32,000 projected surplus this year.
Yes. That's with the 15,000 that already came back and we put it back into the budget. We reimburse ourselves more or less.
This can go.
But this is another, I mean, it's insurance, if someone.
Is there a max
someone
on,
gets hurt.
because we pay insurance for workman's comp, what's the max where we would not have any more exposure? What's the cap that we would have to pay it?
Oh, we don't have that, we don't have a cap.
So we pay no matter what?
Yeah.
The total amount?
Yeah. I mean,
every other
5,
business
6
has
We're
years ago.
self-insured.
We-
We don't have a plan. We're self-insured.
I mean, if somebody had a catastrophic accident,
Our LAP insurance, they go hand in hand, the LAP and the workers' comp. Our liability, auto and property, 5 years ago was skyrocket because of all the instances that happened.
wow.
And there was no cap, there was no nothing, we're just finally coming off of that hike now.
Well, I mean, this is a drop if there, bucket if there was catastrophic anyway. So, okay, yeah, cut it. Doesn't matter.
Cut it.
Got
Paul, cut.
Comes out.
Okay, so workman's comp goes at the correct 15,000. Okay, under the student service budget, 5564, regular education, $95,700 for regular ed out of district. This is for a upcoming mandate that's not been approved yet by the legislature, so. Cut it.
If we can't get something in writing from the town, then no, do not cut that out.
Cut.
I say cut.
Cut it.
Cut.
Okay. Now, this last one is a bit of a substitute. In looking at the natural gas, on last week's list, natural gas was in there for $40,000, $41,000. In seeing Fiona's cuts of natural gas, there happens to be a $40,000 surplus in communications for technology. So we flopped them into that column because it was another discovery. Would you like to elaborate on
Yeah,
that?
it's not a discovery. What we budget communications 100%. We get E-rate funding.
Communication fee.
Our voice over IP, all our internet, all that stuff. We get an E-rate reimbursement from the feds, which reimburses us, it discounts our bills by about $40,000 each year. We're supposed to budget 100% because it's not 100% guaranteed. However, we get it every year. So E-rate's really strong. I mean, I would feel confident taking this with no problem, because E-rate, I've never heard, no one touches E-rate with all the changes in legislation, no one touches E-rate ever.
Yeah. Let's start with you, this cut.
I'll hesitantly cut it.
Paul? All right, Paul. Andrew?
This is based on projected revenue.
No,
Our expense in this line item is what?
Andrew, the administration is suggesting we cut.
No, I just want to understand the logic behind this.
Yeah, but we're liable. We're the ones, they're not.
So,
More than that, you want the total.
our proposed budget for next year is 126,800.
it's an expenditure we're projecting of 126,000.
Correct. And then we are hopefully getting the E-rate reimbursement.
Which is revenue.
It's a reimbursement, it's not revenue. All it does is discount our monthly bills. We don't get a check in hand. It takes off a percentage every month from our phone bill, our internet bill, that kind of stuff.
So it's not revenue, but it's not,
It's a discount. That's what it is. It's a discount off our communications.
so our
bills.
real bill, our real expense is 86,000. I have a telephone plan,
Right.
and they say it's a $200 a month plan, but they like me, and I give them service, and they say, we're give it to you for 120. So was it a $200 bill a month, or was it a $120 expenditure? So you're telling me this expenditure really isn't 126. They like you, so they're giving it to you for
Well, no,
56.
it's not the phone company, it's the feds that give the money back.
Right.
And it's
Taxed on your phone bill.
What's
You
that?
pay, taxpayers pay for this, isn't that the one that works that way?
Yes.
So everybody pays a tax on their phone bill, and the schools get some of it back.
Yeah, all schools.
So the real expense on this line item is 86,000, but we budgeted 126.
Because we budget 100%.
That's what they tell us.
In case it doesn't.
Because in case we don't get the money, in case the feds drop that, like they drop other grants, like they decrease other grants.
Okay, this is grant money then, or quasi-grant money?
It's
That'll
something that goes
reimburse it.
between big business and the federal government.
Okay, cut it. Just,
John?
But, was it $4,000 added for each of this being liable? I've got that.
Good.
Andrew said he would pay all of our shares.
yeah, more than,
Thank you.
We're working on the OE one, just repeat
They had already cut that in the sped tuition.
Yeah.
That was part of the
There's-
special ed.
that was part of what
Yeah.
Carol was cutting.
Yeah, she pulled those two out in an earlier proposal. So that leaves us just with the retirement contribution left in place. So that's, we're going to take an additional $250,700.
Yeah.
All right, our net increase has dipped below the $3 million mark, $2,950,346.50, with a percent increase of 4.44. Any other discussion? Anyone have anything else? Is there discussion of requesting a contingency fund?
I would like to do that. I mean, even if we just put $100,000 for maintenance emergencies, we don't know whether a water main will vary somewhere in the building. Obviously, we had a boiler that just went for 60. If you own a home, you have to have a little bit of money set aside in case something happens. In this case, we have 8 buildings. Should have a little bit of money set aside in case one of those 8 buildings has a problem. Would make prudent sense.
Paul?
Yeah, I support that.
Andrew, would you support a contingency fund? In requesting the contingency?
no.
No? John?
I don't like going back over 3 after we've knocked
I
it
know.
down.
I agree.
The idea's a great one. But a lot of the cuts are because the city has said, look, cut it, you don't need it. They've told us we don't need to have what they see as extra money in the budget. If we have to go back
Nothing.
looking for a boiler at the end of next year,
Nothing that says we can't do that either, that we can't go.
yeah.
Carl?
Yeah, no, I agree with Jen. Yeah, right down the line, it's a great idea, but I can't just,
Oh, it is, it's a good idea, but not for this year.
yeah.
Next year, maybe we can see how much we use in
Yeah.
overages this year that we don't budget for, so we have a non-arbitrary number to throw at it.
So we're already thinking we're gonna be in the hole next year?
No, I'm saying
No, I'm just-
unplanned expenses that come up, that we have to
I know.
transfer from one fund to another. Keep track of it.
Oh, I will.
Well, we will too.
And,
in
yeah,
budget.
oh, you will too, don't worry. You're my budget chair.
No.
No.
Okay. Then we-
I do have one other thing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you asked what the answer was.
No. I just want to say, if you ever are thinking of contingency for facilities, you should also think of contingency for special education. because that's probably has a greater chance of a large expense coming in, okay? Thank you.
I just, two things. I think we need to clarify for the public that the reports that were handed out tonight are the corrected version. There was a problem coming out of our New World system into these new reporting systems. But they are correct now. The staffing is correct in each building. I think it's just important. It has been thoroughly went through, and these numbers are the correct numbers. That's first. Second, I'm very comfortable with this budget, with the exception of the elimination of the world language at the middle school. I'm still really struggling with that item. And I would like, similar to the way we're handling the CNA issue, changes at the high school, I would like to see the board be more involved in the middle school, eliminating the world language and not necessarily approving that as a cut in the budget. But allotting the middle school the same amount of money and having the board help review if they eliminate the world language. Because I think that should not be done at budget, that should be done as a curriculum item.
Now, in this budget, we approved the adding of the last piece for the secondary, which was our number one board goal, which was a unified secondary education level 6 through 12. We now have a staff member for every grade level, so that as that realignment gets proposed to us, we should, and again, it used to be that way, and I talked to Cheryl about it, about we need to start seeing curriculum changes summer into fall so that it leads into budget. Instead of budget dictating curriculum changes, we should be making curriculum changes that are reflected in the budget. So as you pointed out last month, sorry, it's been way too long of a month. Last week, we have to start the budget process in June.
Yes.
Not start it in February. We need to get the cart back behind the horse. So
are we approving or not approving the elimination of world language by approving this budget, is my question.
We're approving staffing at a building. As far as, the program at that building, I would assume that the realignment of that would be brought to the board as a curriculum change.
It's an organization and management change.
Organization and management change. Can we get some information on it?
He did, he presented it. About moving to 4 teams on each grade level.
Now that we get, but then the information we got from the high school about how many are going in, different from the information on how many were coming out, so.
When we do the high school thing next month, or on the 24th, could we have a refresher on that?
And the
For
number
those
of
us?
kids who actually go
Well,
in with
yeah.
second year.
So
of
much has
language.
happened in the last month. I think it would benefit all of us to have that this, if that's all right.
Plus, I don't think that
We'll put
is
it
a
on the agenda
management
anyway.
decision, because I think we have to agree that we're gonna remove that curriculum from middle school.
Yeah, I think those are board decisions. I mean, those are, those are community values, but what does this community consider a well-educated, student coming from here? And I think world languages should be considered core curriculum at this point, I think it's absolutely foolish and retrograde to not think of it in those terms, and then do whatever needs to be done in terms of realigning your staff to achieve that.
Especially in view of those figures that we got in our email, was it today or yesterday. Those I think were higher than I was expecting, at least from what we heard.
And I agree with Leonie, it should be treated the same way as the CNA program,
Yeah.
at that level.
So we'll get a presentation with
Yeah,
that,
this
as well as the CNA realignment at the April 24th meeting.
So the real question is, will the middle school continue to offer three foreign language courses for credit? That's what you want?
I think so.
We want to see what is being changed and how.
Okay.
Right.
I know he did a presentation, but a lot's happened since then in our heads, at least in mine.
Because it was connected with
Right.
technology be.
Right, it's
Okay.
a
It
clarifying.
would still, yeah, it was gonna remain, you would still have it as an opportunity for students to participate in a foreign language class, but not for credit, while at the same time expanding the opportunity for other tech classes.
Well, if you give it to us now, we'll take it.
No, I will let Mr. Gottlieb explain it to you.
Okay, Danielle, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, so it doesn't happen after the fact. Last week, someone threw out, I don't remember who, at the very end, about bringing the secretary, bringing the FRPs back up to 12 months. We did not discuss that, and if that's, I don't know if that was approved last night or last week, or,
It was not.
because it's an additional,
I don't think we vetted it though.
so no, that's fine if you don't want to do it, I just don't want you to come back and say, yes, we did.
How much is it?
What is the, and I have it somewhere.
60,000.
Yeah, it's like 64,505.
And that's above the middle, high school and
No, that's,
going forward?
no,
That would include that?
that would include it,
So
so
really, it's only a net of 40?
44.
44.
I would second Ellen's motion to add those back in. I
It'll
think
still-
we've heard enough about it.
Will it still keep us under the rate?
It'll-
99999?
It'll put you at $2,994,346.50, so you can get a car.
Marketer would say that's a good price, as opposed to 3.8. Yeah.
I would like to do that.
I would second that. We've heard from every building all year round, all the trouble they're having with that reduction.
Multiple
Right.
grievances.
Right,
The
multiple
personnel committee's
grievances.
dealt with that.
We've cut security,
Oh.
so they are the buzzers.
What is the net?
You guys can,
Yep.
69,438,000.
No, what is the net change we're talking about right now for the
Secretaries.
secretary?
Oh, to this budget, 46,000. Excuse me, 44,000, because we already had the 20,000 in there.
44 what?
505.
44,505.
Puts us over, like something else.
It's 4.51%.
No, we're still under.
What is it, 2?
Yeah. Oh, because I added it, hang on. I got it. It puts you at 2,994,851.50. If we add that back in. Mr. Cavanero, you want to add the full-time secretaries back in?
No, seriously, I honestly don't know enough about this. I'm gonna actually abstain on this one. Other people know more about it. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Dan?
As chair of personnel, we dealt with this issue extensively during the year. I would support putting it back in.
No.
John?
Yeah, and the principals are gonna have more to do with the evaluations for next year too, so they need all the secretarial help they can get.
Carl?
Yep.
Vincent?
Absolutely.
Chris?
Without question, yeah.
Ellen?
All of you think yes.
I gotta ask. Fiona? Okay. We've lost our magical 444.
I know.
All right, so up
So what
here.
do we, else we
So
got for
we're gonna go
40,000?
District-wide, we're gonna go, what is it called? East?
FRPs to
Get rid of 50 cents.
FRP to
12-month secretaries.
12-month secretaries. 505.
And we retired.
You want to suggest that?
I have a suggestion.
Mr. Chair?
I'm really getting tired of this. Yes?
What if we revisited the retirement contribution and take that out, just to give it?
Are we trying to get back to the magic 444?
Yes.
It's not gonna get us there, but it's gonna get us close.
Well, then it doesn't matter, keep it what it is.
But you need to come up with 44,505, and that was $30,000.
I think we're fuzzy right now.
Close.
What's the total percent?
4.51. Mr. Kisco, would you support the removal of the retirement contribution to put the secretaries back in?
One or the other, yes, but I don't like both.
You like both or one or the other?
I would support adding the secretaries back and getting rid of the retirement contribution one.
I like both.
Chris? You're right.
I know. You gotta
See,
think
I
one
didn't ask
more
you last
time.
time, oh my God, Fiona.
That's it. Motion to adjourn is always more than free speech, Dave.
That's correct.
Keep them both. We'll be revisiting this anyway.
I'll ask you,
soon.
it doesn't have to be answered.
Keep them both.
Okay.
Andrew? Cut them both?
No, cut them both.
So what is this?
We are adding the FRPs to 12-month secretaries.
Yeah,
We are leaving the retirement in.
okay. Got it.
Fiona?
Can we look at 5290 severance, because we added teachers back in.
Severance is, again, I budget the 11 people retiring.
But this year we've expended, I'm sorry, these sheets really need to be.
Sorry, I know.
We've only spent 45 so far.
Severance is a June expenditure once all the retirements are in.
What do you think we'll end up the year at in severance?
I think we're gonna use it all with this incentive. We might be over, so we might be in the red because of the incentive. But that's this year. If they all go this year, they're not going next year.
There might be more.
Board of Finance might cut us a penny or two later on too, so we might as well save a few
Save some of
things.
these.
Yeah, okay. I like it the way it is, what they get for grants and other grants.
Any other suggestions from anyone? Other discussion?
I got one other thing. Yes, well, it's relative to the discussion tonight. For, maybe not the next meeting, at some point, clearly, special ed, ELL, these, from day one of the budget, we've talked about these as being big budget drivers. What I've never seen, and how is this defined, how is it defined, the difference between special ed kids who have been living in Torrington for, 5, 6, 7, families who live here 5, 6 years, and how many of this population are recent arrivals? Do we know? Can we find that? I mean, are people moving here because of this, or is it just, are these static numbers? Is it?
We've reduced, as far as special ed, we've reduced numbers.
And in terms of
ELL's been anywhere, pardon?
I'm not talking about identification. I'm talking about, are people moving here because we have, great special ed programs, which is something I hear, and I just don't know if that's factually true or not.
The services that we provide are all based on law. We're not, and to be honest with you, no offense, Beth, but Beth is cheap and tight with services, and what we provide for children and for what we can provide here, and staying within legal, okay? Because if somebody isn't happy, they're gonna say.
Right, no, I get that, No, I'm just wondering, but, it could be related to just, again, the availability of low-income housing, and just from a city point of view,
Yeah.
because of the added
people
expense, and the
come-
huge added expense, how
people-
much is this going to Torrington kids that we are doing what we want to do for Torrington kids, and how much is this doing for kids who are, maybe families who are moving here because for other reasons?
You mean, if I had families in Torrington for years and.
I mean, and if that's not the case, because I
Yeah.
do hear things and nobody actually has numbers on any of this,
With the way the economic climate was, so many people lost homes during 2008, 9, and 10, and had to go into apartments. And we have a lot of three-family homes still left in town. But I'll tell you, the apartments are very high in town.
So maybe that isn't a factor at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. And as far as our, we're finding with our ELL population, they are becoming less transient. They came, they're staying, they're living in, into their own apartments and purchasing their own family homes. And our numbers have stayed relatively, we've not expanded the program. Yeah, they're flat, between 350, 360 for the past 3 years.
I would like the board to also consider removing 2 custodians and restructuring our whole custodial maintenance area. I think this year we went on half the number of custodians. They have to do a lot of overtime. We operated at pretty much half all year, and some overtime from the other ones. But I'd like to see us really look at possibly restructuring all the custodians that are employed as far as.
Is that something that's doable?
Mr. Becerra? No. Is that the question is, can we remove 2 custodians from the budget and do a restructuring and still keep our buildings clean and open?
I think we're right now, we're pretty close to critical mass on custodians. I think what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna reduce your numbers, and we're going to increase our overtime volume to try to substitute for. You got to remember, even though you're taking 2 out, everyone still has their vacations, and guys get sick and they're off. We have to move people around in different cases. So right now we're having a difficult time as it is just staffing the buildings properly. I think if you keep cutting, when I started, I think we were at 38 or 39 custodians. We keep reducing. Every time someone retires, we keep reducing. We're down to 31 now. We've been here for 9 years, and we're down about 8 or 9 custodians. And it's getting more and more difficult to maintain the buildings. I just hate this. I'm not going to say it's an easy task, but we're building newer buildings. You've got a brand new $25 million setup up at the top of the hill right up here at Thornford School. And if we don't have people to take care of these things, your assets are going down further and further. It's going to be more difficult to maintain your daytime schedule also with with your snow plowing issues and your wintertime problems and getting people in the building. So once again, you'll have to recompensate by overtime.
But what if we were to get you some better equipment, something to look at where they
Even
work
equipment is
harder?
good, but you still need bodies to move that equipment around and operate it. I could have, I've got, let's say I've got 5 plows now that are great, but if I don't have 5 guys that I can move into the machines, then the machinery is not always the best case.
How long does it take to mow the lawn at the high school or the middle school?
The high school here, we have what they call a gull-wing lawnmower, 16 feet across. We could probably mow the lawn in 3 to 4 hours. That would be the entire building, a few acres out there. But then you want to trim it, right? And then, but you can't always just say mow the lawn here, especially here at the high school, because now you've got fields that have to be lined for baseball, you've got fields that have to be lined for soccer, you've got a varsity field that has to be taken care of also, and you've got, so there's more than just mowing the lawn.
You have 1 retirement this year.
Correct.
Could we survive not backfilling it? The proposal was 2, what if it was just the
proposal was two.
The question from Fiona was to remove two.
I would like to have the opportunity to reorganize in how we use our custodians, whether it's for maintenance of facilities or custodial work, and to see if we can maintain at least the quality that we have this year. And, you know, at least give us time to look at the reorganization and what work has to be done and how it gets to be done, and just, you know, figure out hours spent. And then look into it.
Is the city still talking about integrating city custodial services with school system custodial services?
They have not approached me on that at all. Zero.
There's contract language that's a problem with that. If we integrate the two, what's that?
They're all 1579, right?
Doesn't matter. We went to legal on this.
Okay, it was just a question, because I
Right.
heard about it for a while, and now I'm not hearing any more.
Now, the problem is, we went to legal on it. It's been proven in several school districts in Connecticut, I believe it's 5, that even using the same union city members to do school district work is considered subcontract. Even though it's the same city, same union, they consider it subcontracting, that's violation of the contract.
Has that ever been briefed?
That one went pretty high. Shipman and Goodwin fought that one pretty high for another school district, and they were not able to win it.
When was that done?
That was 2 years ago, right, 3 years ago.
You can never sub out, you can
The
never.
custodial contract does not allow for subcontract.
But when the contract expires, you can't eliminate that bargaining group and sub it out?
There are assumptions about the continuation of a contract
You would
situation.
You would lose that at the Department of Labor, but you could file for it and fight it.
If the city took over our buildings, our schools, then what
It's
happens?
still subcontracting because a bargaining unit has been created that's called the school, Torrington Board of Education contract of 1579. And that work has been identified as that union's work under a certain contract. So any change to that contract or any reuse of that contract would be a violation of the contract if anybody was to come in and start doing that work.
I thought that's why we negotiate contracts and they have an expiration date.
Yes, they do.
And you're saying when the expiration date comes, they have perpetual place in this school district that will never be able to be eliminated. All these non-certified employees have lifetime work.
You can elect to fight it. And you can
There's no
elect
school
to-
district in the state of Connecticut
that is non-union?
that has non-certified employment, non-certified privatization,
We use non-certified privatization for subs for teachers.
okay?
The custodial contract specifically states no privatization.
Forever, in perpetuity.
You can negotiate it, but right now, that's in the contract, there is no privatization.
Just a point of clarification, you can negotiate out
Right.
that contract language
Right.
that says you cannot subcontract. The only way, and I've spoken with legal on that, the only way that's likely to happen is an arbitration. You roll the dice, you go in with a proposal that includes elimination of the language that prohibits subcontracting and hope for an arbitrator's award. Chances are probably less than 50-50, but, as they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. That's a decision the board would have to make.
And we could do that at the next contract negotiation.
Well, probably this goes to the discussion, I brought up literally 1 year ago, where no single Board of Education is going to be able to handle this. We're just not, because of the political component involved in here, And this is why it behooves us to really call for a caucus of boards of education, whatever, Litchfield County or Western Connecticut or Naugatuck Valley, over the summer, and just list, you know, these kinds of grievances that we have. Grievances is wrong choice of words, but these kinds of problems that we have that ultimately become political problems, and try to rally legislative support for it. We can't do it ourselves, you know, and our legislators aren't gonna stick their neck out knowing that they're gonna lose this, but if you can get, you know, a group of legislators and get the public to understand this, you might have some progress here, you know? We get killed on this stuff.
Mr. Bissett is sneaking over.
He's hiding behind the wall.
Yeah. Poor Dave, he thought we were through with it the last second.
What about one?
Threw him a knuckleball.
Thought it was sneaking out
Threw him a knuckleball.
It's, how does the board feel in trying to get the FRPs to 12 months to keep our number down, proposing the removal of one custodian, not backfilling the retirement that's gonna happen this year? Understanding that we have been running with between 4 to 6 custodians out since the beginning of the year.
That's a whole motion there, sir.
Why are we running 4 to 6 out?
Sick, vacation,
Sick
long-term
vacations,
illness.
injuries.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of illnesses, not all workman's comp.
I'm not sure what you're asking, one more time.
Well, I'm asking if the board wants to support reducing custodial services by one. By not backfilling a retirement, it would be approximately a $50,000 saving. Fiona's question was 2, I'm asking for 1.
My feeling is, you know, I like where our superintendent is going, but let's try to look at this in a bigger, let this stay status quo for now. And I don't know Dave's math, or Dave's calculus, but, you know, that if you reduce that, are you, in point of fact, simply going to incur higher overtime fees and not going to accomplish the ultimate goal of saving money in this way. And so I'd rather see a really detailed discussion about this item in an upcoming board meeting, and I would still like to push for a summer caucus of boards of education to discuss precisely these things. So no, I wouldn't vote to do anything with it right now for the 50,000.
Dan?
As we have no way to backfill people who are out sick, it makes me very hesitant to do this. However, knowing the fact that that would still leave us, worst case scenario, 24 custodians to move around between 8 buildings throughout the course of 2 shifts, yeah, I'll reduce 1 person by not backfilling.
Andrew?
I'll reduce it to 1 person, but I don't want to add the other portion of that equation. You wanted to reduce the custodian and add back?
No, we added the FRPs to 12 months, we just did that.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to find a way to, that was a $44,000 increase, I'm trying to find a way to keep our number where it was. So I'm proposing, Fiona had proposed 2, now we're proposing 1.
Okay, I'll go for 1.
Fiona? Ellen?
Sure.
Chris?
I like the idea of trial run, we'll see where it goes. No one's losing his job, or her job.
I'd like to have more discussion on this, so no.
Okay. Carl?
Yep.
John?
I don't want to see janitors cut, custodians cut.
Okay. 6-3, reduction of 1 custodian, don't backfill the retirement. You say that's 50?
Correct.
Is it 44,505 or is it 50?
It's 50.
And 50 cents. Sure.
We're at 443.
Yeah.
That puts the budget at $2,944,851.50 increase for a total budget of $69,389,161.50, and an increase of 4.43%.
Motion to approve this budget as amended.
Second.
We have a motion by Vincent to approve this budget, second by Carl as amended.
Could you give me the number now for the percentage for salaries and benefits after we did this whole process?
I didn't even ask for discussion yet, you're just.
Oh, I thought you were.
You didn't even let me get there yet. We have a motion to accept the budget as amended. We have a second to accept it as amended. Do we have any discussion on accepting this budget as amended?
Yes, I have this.
Is it about accepting this budget, or is it
Yes.
about getting future numbers?
No, this is part of, I want to get a total picture here.
Is it gonna change your vote? Because you're not gonna get the number right now.
You can't, you don't think you have that in your top of your head?
I
Which
know
is
I don't
the
have that on top of my
salary
head. My head is
benefits.
just completely empty at this point.
They kind
Too
of-
many numbers have come out.
It's not gonna change my mind, so let's
We
vote.
can have the discussion right after. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? One opposed is Mr. Nardi, abstention? Okay. Items for good of the order.
By tonight,
By
seem-
tonight.
it seems like what we did tonight was we ended up starting off with salaries and benefits as 74% of the entire budget. And I would venture to say that at the end of the night, salaries and benefit has risen to become a larger portion of the budget. And it doesn't seem like we are becoming more efficient. We are just putting more and more money into salary and benefits without necessarily any type of substantive, qualitative improvements to the school district.
Dan? Paul? Scott?
Concert tomorrow night, Torrington High School Gymnasium.
Choral concert.
Choral concert.
I'd just like to thank Fiona and Ellen again for the work you guys did finding the extra cost savings to help us move this thing along.
Excellent work, everybody.
I want to thank our fans who care about the school.
They hate us.
They're not fans.
We're trying to be.
They care about education, they care about the kids, they care about the budget. I thank them.
We'd like to just thank everybody, administration and the board for, I think, putting in a very good effort. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I saw Ellen's hands first. I'll take a second by Dan. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?